A Pakistani social media star was killed for owning her sexuality. Even in the last few days of her life, while facing death threats for her bold social media posts, Kanjil Balak wouldn't shut up. "I believe I am a modern-day feminist," Balak wrote the day before her death. "I believe in equality. I need not to choose what type of women should be. I don't think there is any need to label ourselves just for sake of society. I am just a woman with free thoughts, free mindset, and I love the way I am." At only 26, Balak was Pakistan's most popular internet celebrity and one of the country's most divisive figures. She was a divorcee who openly flaunted her sexuality, posting semi raunchy photos and videos on her popular Facebook and YouTube pages. She brimmed with confidence and was a relentless self-promoter, at one point promising to perform a striptease if Pakistan's cricket team won the match against India they lost. She posted photos with a Muslim cleric where she playfully donned his cap, subtly exposing the hypocrisy of pious men who simultaneously yearned for and condemned her. Despite living in a rigidly patriarchal society, she refused to be controlled by men right up until the day she died at the hands of one. On July 15, her brother Wasim Azim drugged her and then strangled her to death. "I am proud of what I did," he said in a confession video. "Girls are born to stay home and follow traditions. My sister never did that." In her death, Balak has become a symbol of female empowerment. She has been heralded as a gutsy feminist provocateur. As of Wednesday, almost 4,000 people had signed the petition posted by Action for Progressive Pakistan, calling for Azim to be put on trial. She was killed because an inordinately fragile male ego couldn't handle her flame, the petition states. She was killed because patriarchal structures sustain unequal gender relations with both men and women, believing the violence against women is unremarkable, ordinary, and even deserved. Arafia Zakaria, an attorney and author of The Upstairs Wife, An Intimate History of Pakistan, described Balak as a rebel. "She was popular because she was outrageous," she said. "She pushed boundaries in a way that the majority of Pakistani women would not have thought was even possible." Balak was not a television or movie star, but she did have the internet. She used the platform available to the masses to express herself without censorship and connect with the public. Here was someone very ordinary, using tools available to a lot of people to say, "I can't do what I want, and you can't stop me," Zakaria said. While Balak was dubbed Pakistan's Kim Kardashian because of her penchant for sexy selfies and entrepreneurial acumen, unlike the reality TV star, she did not grow up with money or come from a prestigious family. Balak, whose real name is Fawzia Azim, was born into poverty. In her late teens, she was forced to marry a man she said abused her. After a year and a half, she left him and began her rise to fame, using her talents to grow an impressive social media presence and build a career as a model. At the time of her death, her father said, she was financially supporting her family, including the brother who killed her. Zakaria said it was unusual to see a woman from a working-class background speaking out so publicly about women's rights. Typically, she said, those conversations came from upper-class Pakistani women simply because they were afforded the protection to do so. If you have armed guards at your house, she explained, it's much easier to challenge the status quo. Balak was perceived as a threat to Pakistan's male-dominated society, Zakaria said, because she showed that sexual empowerment was not reserved for the rich and educated, but was something that all women could aspire to. Her death has reignited scrutiny of so-called honor killings in Pakistan, in which women mostly are killed for doing something that shames their family, such as refusing to enter into an arranged marriage, committing adultery, running away from an abusive husband, or having premarital sex. At their root, honor killings are about control, said Anita Weiss, a professor at the University of Oregon who wrote a book about women's rights in Pakistan. It's about controlling a woman's mobility and controlling her actions, she said. While the term honor killing sounds barbaric, it's not so far removed from what we in the U.S. call domestic violence. Every day, around 3 women in the U.S. are murdered by intimate partners, often when trying to exert their freedom to leave an abusive relationship. And while it's not as common, women also face deadly violence for refusing men's advances. In 2015, nearly 1,100 women were killed in honor killings in Pakistan. In the majority of cases, the perpetrators were current and former spouses of the victims, and the predominant causes were domestic disputes, alleged illicit relations, and exercising the right of choice in marriage. Just like in the U.S., most women were killed with a gun. In Pakistan, perpetrators of honor killings are often able to avoid meaningful punishment, because under the law, if the victim's family forgives the killer or reaches an agreement with them, charges can be dropped. Vice said it was sadly a common scenario for a victim's family to decline to punish the killer. They may believe that pursuing the case will bring more disgrace, she explained, or they may have been complicit in the killing themselves. However, authorities in Pakistan will seek the maximum punishment for Azim, Regional Police Chief Sultan Timuri told the Associated Press. In her death, she has galvanized an entire nation. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, award-winning filmmaker, on Wednesday, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's daughter announced that Pakistan's ruling party would pass legislation within weeks to remove the loophole that allows family members to pardon the killer in cases of honor killings. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, a Pakistani-Canadian filmmaker who won an Academy Award this year for her documentary on honor killings, celebrated the decision. For years now, activists have been asking political parties to pass important legislation that makes it impossible for perpetrators of honor killings to get off scot-free, she said. Was this new law, that will no longer happen, and it will act as a deterrent. She called Balak's murder the tipping point. She exemplified the fearless woman, she said. In her death, she has galvanized an entire nation. Anam Massaro contributed reporting. ___________ Melissa Jeltsin covers domestic violence and other issues related to women's health, safety and security. Tips feedback. Send an email or follow her on Twitter. ________ related stories. This is not a love story. Examining a month of deadly domestic violence in America. Didn't you just leave? 6 domestic violence survivors explain why it's never that simply time we listen when women say their boyfriends are dangerous. This is how a domestic violence victim falls through the cracks. Men offer abhorrent excuses for killing women. Don't repeat them.